Hello everyone, it's me Uncle John. Today I am going to read a 652 Penguin Puzzle, Chapter 7. I couldn't waste another second. The leopard seal was going in for the kill. I had to warn the others. The DA, Tim, Carlos. I started to scream their names one by one. The words came out of my bill like a loud braying sound. I was talking and braying at the same time. I hopped up and down on the ice cliff and kept braying. Finally, DA saw me right away. She knew something was wrong. She took off for the cliff, waving her flipper at the others. The other kid penguins shot through the water after her. With their black backs turned to the sea, the penguins were hard to see in the water. The seal lost sight of them. It stopped swimming and searched the water. By the time it had found Dia again, she was leaping from the water up onto the ice shelf. Dia gave a bray of relief. Arnold, Keisha, Carlos, Tim Wanda, and Ralphie all hopped up onto the cliff. Everyone was happy to get back onto safe ground. Wow, that was close, Dia said. It's a cold, cruel world out there. We hung out on the cliff for a while. There were hundreds of Adelie penguins around us. They gave us some strange looks, but otherwise ignored us. You know what I think is weird? Carlos said. What? Wanda asked. What's really weird is the smell, Carlos said. What smell? Wanda asked. That's what I mean, Carlos said. I don't even smell the guano anymore. Maybe you are not human anymore, Wanda said with a sniffle. What if we never get back to the magic school bus? I tried to think of something hopeful to say. Miss Frizzle will save us and Uncle Cecil. I told Arnold, you just wait and see. Meanwhile, DA said, let's check out some penguin nests. I still want to see a chick hatch. As usual, DA's mind was on science. We waddled over to where dozens of penguins were babysitting their eggs. Two of the penguins seemed to be having a fight. Look, one is stealing a rock from the other one, Wanda said. Penguins do that. DA explained. I read that we have to compete for the best nesting sites. What do you mean we? Wanda asked. Oh, right, I mean they. DA corrected herself. Just then a female Adelie penguin got off her nest. She waddled up to Arnold. She barked some orders at him in penguin language. Arnold just stared at her. Then she took her flippers and pushed him toward the nest. No, Arnold protested. You got the wrong guy. I'm not your mate. The female penguin didn't pay any attention to Arnold's noises. She made him sit on top of her eggs. Then she waddled away toward the water. She threw back a warning glance at Arnold not to move. Looks like you can't get up until your wife gets back, Arnold, Tim said. You better keep those eggs nice and toasty. Then he laughed until he brayed. You better not leave me, Arnold begged. Please, looked as if we were stuck babysitting a penguin egg. But when will the mother come back? Meanwhile, back at the camp, Miss Frizzle was measuring the ice caps and taking note. She saw Uncle Cecil come slipping and sliding across the ice. The look on his face spelled trouble. Cecil the Freeze gasped. What's the matter? My experiment backfired. Uncle Cecil moaned. It turned the kids into penguin. How did you do that? I squirted them with my top secret formula, Uncle Cecil explained. It was all an accident, but now they are penguin and I can't find them anywhere. Okay, we got Miss Frizzle thought for a moment. We got a penguin puzzle that we have to solve. Then she added, maybe it takes one to know one. You mean I should turn into penguin? Uncle Cecil stammered. Do you have enough secret formula left? A whole bottle. Hand it over. Get ready to waddle. Uncle Cecil took the last bottle of formula out of his briefcase. He handed it to Miss Frizzle and shut his eye. A large emperor penguin stood in front of the freeze. Liz took one look at, jumped inside the freeze, park it. Is that your Cecil? Miss Frizzle asked in amazement. I think so, Uncle Cecil's voice said, then it turned into penguin bray. Good luck, the freeze called as Uncle waddled off. Uncle headed toward a crowd of Adelie penguin. Phoebe, Arnold, D.A., and Carlos, none of the penguins answered to the name. Uncle Cecil walked from one group of penguins to another. He had to fight off the urge to take a dip in the ocean. He knew he had to keep his penguin mind on the kids. Just then he walked by an Adelie penguin nest. A little Adelie chick was being fed by its parents. Uncle Cecil took mental notes to add to his research. Uncle Cecil wandered through the Adelies colony for an hour. Then he had to give up. There were thousands of Adelie penguins, and none of them answered to his call. Slowly he waddled back to camp. He hated to tell Miss Frizzle the news. They might not see Phoebe and the others again ever. Chapter 8. Back at camp, Miss Frizzle saw a big emperor penguin waddle toward the tent alone. Cecile, where are they? She called out. I couldn't find them, Uncle Cecil answered. There are Adelie penguins everywhere. I'm not giving up, the Freeze exclaimed. She ran over to the Magic School snowmobile, climbed inside, and started the engine. There was a loud roar. The Magic School bus was at it again. A big propeller popped out of the top. The trees turned into ski, and the snowmobile turned into a snow helicopter. Miss Frizzle sat in the cockpit. She motioned to Uncle Cecil. We're going on a search mission. Uncle Cecil waddled over to the copter's door and hopped inside. Then with a roar of the engine, the copter took off. It flew straight up into the clear Antarctic air. Miss Frizzle flew out above the ice shelf. Where did you last see the kids, Cecil? Miss Frizzle asked. I was right behind the pile of rocks, Uncle Cecil said. It was right down there, a bit behind us. Freeze made a loop in the sky. Then she zoomed down to the rocks and hovered for a minute. Do you see them anywhere? She asked. Sticking his penguin head out the window, he shook it sadly. Let's see. Where else would I go if I were a penguin? Asked herself. She sighted the end of the ice shelf hanging over the water. She gained altitude and then flew over toward the water. There are hundreds and hundreds of penguins down there, Uncle Cecil said with dismay. Not to worry, Cecil exclaimed. We'll find them. She dropped the bus copter lower in the sky. The penguins on the ice below became excited by the noise. They miled around, looking up. Suddenly the Freeze let out a gasp. Look, Cecil, down to the right. 8 Adelie penguins were staring up at the bus copter, and they had human faces. We found them, Uncle Cecil yelled. 8 of us kid penguins were staring up at the sky with big smiles on our faces. They found us, I yelled. We watched Miss Frizzle bring the bus copter down onto the ice. All the other penguins ran away in every direction, but we were hopping up and down with joy. Miss Frizzle, D.A. and yelled with relief. Uncle Cecil, is that you? Uncle Cecil ran up to me, gave me a big penguin hug. Come on, hop into the bus copter. I'll fly you back to camp. But I can't leave, Arnold said. I'm stuck on these eggs until my mate comes back. Arnold, I'm not really her mate, but I can't leave the eggs until they hatch. The chicks could die. Just then there was a pecking noise. Looked down at one of the eggs. A little bill was sticking out of the egg. A minute later, more of the shell cracked open. A little flipper stuck out. Oh, it's hatching. Move over a little, Arnold. Arnold moved aside so we could all watch the baby penguin hatch. Soon it was free of its shell. Just then its mother waddled up to the nest. She pushed Arnold aside and took over her baby. I think it's time to leave, Arnold, Miss Frizzle said with a twinkle in her eye. But congratulations. Miss Frizzle climbed into the bus copter, and we all followed. It was very crowded inside with 9 penguins. The bus copter zoomed up into the sky. Here, I'm getting hot in here, Arnold said. These feathers are great for icy weather, but they are too much for inside, and we can't even take our coats off, Tim complained. By the time the bus copter landed back at camp, we penguins were steaming. We couldn't wait to get back into the ice-cold air. After everyone piled out of the bus copter, Uncle Cecil pulled on my flipper. Phoebe, look, he said, pointing to the bus copter floor. A layer of penguin feathers was scattered on the floor. We had been shedding in the heat. I've got an idea, Uncle Cecil said. Let's all go inside the tent. But it's hot in there, Arnold complained. Exactly, Uncle Cecil said. We went inside the tent, and I started sweating even more in my penguin suit. Well, will we be penguins forever? Wanda asked Miss Frizzle. As soon as Arnold heard that, he started to cry. I don't want to live in a zoo, he sobbed. I'm sure our parents would come to visit us. I just want to be my old self. I think you're in luck, Arnold. Uncle Cecil, take a look at the floor. All of us kid penguins looked down at our feet. There were heaps of feathers and drops of oil all around us. The best news was that we had real feet. We're turning back into humans again. Ippy, I don't want to wear that suit anymore. I ran up and hugged Uncle Cecil. He was back to his old self too. The heat must have reversed the effects of my formula. Thank goodness. What will you do with your secret formula now, Cecil? D.A. asked. It's all gone, and I'm not going to make any more. I've learned my lesson, don't mess with Mother Nature. But what about your work with penguins? I keep studying them. I want to do as much as I can to protect them in the wild. They are a fascinating bird. Start packing your things, class, Miss Frizzle announced. We're going home. Everyone cheered, especially the 8 of us who had been penguins. We had been worried there for a while. Antarctica is a nice place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there. Miss Frizzle led us outside. Magic School Bus had transformed into the Magic School Jet again. We pulled down the tent and packed everything up. We made sure we left Antarctica just as clean as we found it. Then we got inside the jet and took off. As we flew over the ice shelf, we waved goodbye to the Adelie penguin. It looked like they were waving their flippers back at us. This was one adventure we'd never forget. Chapter 9. Arnold, could you move your poster over? D.A. asked. It's crowding mine. We were back in our classroom and everything was back to normal. Miss Frizzle had decided we should do reports on Antarctica before going back to our bird project. Though the whole room was filled with pictures and posters about our trip. But the main attraction was just coming in. D.A., Arnold, Keisha, Carlos, Wanda, Ralphie, Tim, and I had all worked on it. It would be a surprise for Miss Frizzle. Stand back, Carlos ordered as they brought it into the room. We are coming through. Tim, Carlos, and Wanda carried a big tray into the room. Something about 2 feet tall was standing on it. Covered by a cloth, they set the tray down on a table. Phoebe, are you ready? I nodded and walked over to pick up the edge of the cloth. Then I whisked it off. Underneath was a life-size Adelie penguin carved from ice. Cool, Keisha said. Not cold. Carlos said with a laugh. Cool, cold, really cold. Carlos was right. I knew we had taken the coolest field trip ever. The end.